It through the little alien goes through his brain.
The little alien head, the tongue, right? The tongue goes through his brain.
Well, it's a little alien head, tongue, yeah, whatever you want to call that thing.
Second jaw.
It's his little head.
I finally
Watched.
I finally
Watched. I
finally
watched. I
finally
watched.
I finally
Watched.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Finally Watched. I'm Milan.
And this is David, and today, unfortunately, I finally watched Alien Resurrection.
Don't say unfortunately. It's an alien movie. How
I think it's the
bad?
worst. I think it's the worst movie on the podcast so far, which I think I said the other day we had done too. I can't remember which one that was, but I think this is it.
The worst movie? I really wanted to like this movie because I heard that Alien 3 was a really bad movie. And then watching it, I was like, honestly, not that bad. Uh,
Right?
and people were like, well, Alien Resurrection is the worst. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch it and I'm going to think, like Alien 3, not that bad. It's that bad.
You know what's interesting is actually like at a certain point, I was like, you know what? This is like derivative, to use a I don't know, semi big word, of the first one where they're just running down the hallways trying to get on the ship. I was like, but I don't know. I'm at least entertained. And then the end happened, and I was just like, oh, okay. No, this is shit. It's like, this isn't good at all.
Well, everything, it seems like such a small movie. Like in the first one, everything seems so detailed and grandiose. Like and the second one, and even the third one to some degree, is that you feel like each character is fleshed out more, you know more about them. Um Even the plot seems more like there's a movie emotionally is supposed to make you feel like a roller coaster, right? And this is like a fucking one-way street train track sort of thing where it's just like I don't care about any of these characters. And I don't even care about Ripley because it's not even really Ripley, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And what's funny too is I thought I had known that the twist for Call, the Winona Ryder character, I thought that was her daughter or
Or her
grand.
great great granddaughter.
So I thought it was her daughter, and then it's like, you died 200 years ago. It's like, all right, well, great, some relation. And it turns out to be a robot, which is like a surprise, but still, like, I just was like, I don't care about that.
Well, you always forget, not you specifically, but one always forgets
There are robots.
that there are like a secret robot in every like alien movie.
Yeah. So I was reading that Sigourney did not want to do this movie, and when they asked why she changed her mind, she said they drove a dump truck full of money to my house, and I guess it's reported she was paid $11 million to come back as Ripley, which was the entire budget of the first Alien movie.
Oh man, and now they're just making them without her. Like they're making so many without her. It's like you don't even really need
Well,
Ellen Ripley.
did you see who wrote this?
I saw who directed it.
Well, who wrote it was your boy Joss Whedon,
Oh
and
really?
they brought him in
Don't say he's
because
my boy. Mm-mm.
I was saying it like
I denounce. I denounce him.
derisively. Yeah. I think he's kind of a dick, probably. I don't like what he writes most of the time. But they brought him in because of his success with writing Buffy. They wanted to write this movie based off of the Newt character. They were going to bring Newt back as the clone, and then the studio was like, "The fucking people aren't going to want an alien movie without Ripley," which they've in 3 movies since proven that incorrect. I think this is so. I've seen Prometheus, and I've obviously seen the ratings of Covenant, um, and then Romulus. I think is getting pretty good like reviews.
It's
So
getting
this
okay.
this easily has to be the worst. Like I don't. And it's not even like horrible, but I just think it's also probably just aged so bad.
So there's kind of a meme going around right now on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's like what rate the Alien movies, and went through a bunch of tweets being like, okay, so what are people rating Resurrection? And this is this is like right before I'm sitting down to watch it. A lot of them, and first of all, let me make aware, a lot of people are putting the Alien versus Predator movies as last place, but I don't consider those canon to like the Alien movies, right? But excluding those, I would say 80%, 85% are putting Alien Resurrection as last place.
Yeah.
Um, and some put Alien 3 as last place. Like they're fighting for last place. So some people think Alien 3 is better. Some people think Resurrection is better. And so I was like, well, if it's so divisive, and I liked Alien 3, for the most part, then maybe I'll like this one. There's I was literally falling asleep in the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then the basketball scene happened, and I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, the basketball scene's pretty bad. There are some cool scenes here and there. I think the underwater scene is actually really good.
Underwater scene's not bad, and when Ripley 8 discovers Ripley 1 through 7,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think that was pretty much the best scene of the whole movie.
absolutely. Yeah, those two. And that's like actually like a pretty long section of movie. Like they're going down the hallway, she finds that, then they move on. I guess even when Elgin dies, right? Like I think it starts there from Elgin dying through, I don't know, some point. I think that's like a pretty solid movie. But just all the other stuff around it. I don't know. Let's kind of get started. I think we'll probably go through this rather quickly, but so yeah, Ripley is in a test tube and they pull the alien out of her, which I guess is somehow connects to 3. I don't remember 3 that well, at
Man, I
least how
don't
it
remember
ended.
3.
Oh, I
3
guess
is the
she killed herself because she had the alien in her.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
I guess by cloning her, they cloned the version of her.
With the alien in her.
Yeah. And then she
But
wakes up mid being sewed up and like grabs this dude. And I guess that's your first clue that she has like super strength.
so the alien, who I guess turns out to be the queen,
Yeah.
right? So the queen alien somehow in the cloning process has fused DNA with this Ripley clone. So Ripley is like part alien DNA herself. Like you notice her claws and her instinctual like basketball skills. It's very like alien like.
Yeah. And one thing, so I put on the Blu-ray because I have it, and there was an extended version. I guess you didn't, but they actually, your version didn't show her getting sewed up or the alien getting pulled out of her.
Yeah, I
But
did.
it did. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It said that was somehow different.
Maybe it elongated it. I mean, she was in some sort of like horizontal tube, and then there was a guy with like the gloves that come into like the tube, and you see the alien extraction, but that's about it.
Oh, yeah, I think it was elongated. Um, what's interesting is then uh, the general's like, all right, we can let her live, but we're going to kill her if she, presents any problems. And they're also like, why does she have any memories? And then it's like, we don't fucking know how cloning works, like with humans. It's all new to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the General Perez is playing this movie so fucking weird. He's kind of in I guess a little bit of different movie than everyone else. So Joss said that the script is pretty much his, but that he had a more tongue-in-cheek feel to it, more like a la like Firefly, what he's, I guess, more known for. And the director played it more straight, but it does feel like the guy playing General Perez is really fucking going for it.
Yeah.
Dan Hedaya?
Yeah.
And his like fucking Banaka breath is what he uses to like open doors. He breathes on doors to open
Right.
them.
Right.
Which doesn't seem secure, like in any way.
It's so funny because Taylor walks in, me watching this, and she does not want to watch this whole thing. But she walks in and we're watching like that part where Winona like steals his breath and like sprays it on the door to open Ripley's confinement unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
She turns to me and she goes, "Why did that work?" And honestly, I didn't realize at the time that that's how he opened doors. I was
Well,
like,
and
I don't know why that fucking worked.
and then later on, Winona Ryder, whose name is Call in this, which I
Yeah.
maybe should have been included. She was a robot. It's a weird fucking name. Um, she steals his keys. Do we even see her steal his keys at any point? Do we see when she possibly could have done that?
There's a lot of weird stuff. So first of all, the director for this is the same guy who did Amelie. I don't know if you've ever seen Amelie.
I have not. I did see that, and I thought this was a weird jump.
It is a very weird jump, but there is like fisheye lens, camera push-ins that you see in Amelie that is done here. And a lot of reactionary shots, like someone will say something and then it'll cut to like the reaction of every single fucking person in the room, right? And there was one during the basketball thing where the general comes in and he's like, "Ripley, you know, stop it." And she's beating up on Ron Perlman and the other guy. Carrie? What's his name? The black guy.
Oh, his name is Christy.
Christy. I was close. I was close.
Which the only thing I've ever seen him in before besides this is CSI Miami. Or CSI, I forget which one.
Oh, that is the CSI guy, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never seen him. I think it's just it's the regular CSI. I've never seen him in anything else in my life.
Yeah. So she's beating him up. He comes in. He's like, "Ripley," and then it's a close reaction shot pushing of Winona Ryder, and you're like, "Oh, she didn't know." Like I don't know. It's very weird because once you understand that she was like sent there to kill her, why was she even there if she didn't know that's what she looked like? So she didn't have any information about her?
Yeah, so that's the push and shot on Winona Ryder's face, and then like you're like, oh, something's
Recognizes
here.
her name.
Something's here. But then there's no explanation of like why later on there's nothing in the movie is like this is why she had that reaction. Like it's just in general you're supposed to know that she I guess knows.
Well, at this point in the movie, you're like they clone Ripley not because they really want Ripley, but they want a good clone that would have the alien inside her because they're basically breeding aliens as soldiers for their army, for their cause. And there's a line in the movie that's so great where she still thinks and still has memories of the Wayland Company, the corporation.
Yeah.
And she says something like, "Oh, you're nothing but a greedy corporation." And they're like, "No, no, no. We're not Wayland. We're the government." And then it's like they're like, "Not a greedy corporation, the government," which is like worse.
Well, and I guess there's a line in my version that said Wayland was actually bought out by Walmart.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah, that was cut from yours. By the way, real quick. So, the director Jean-Pierre Jeunet or Jeunet.
Yep.
Is it Jeunet? I believe.
I
Jeunet,
think you
probably.
say Jeanette, actually.
So anyway, he did before Alien Resurrection. He did Delicatessen and The City of Lost Children. So both of those movies had Dominic Pignon, who plays Vreese in this movie, the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
But The City of Lost Children actually starred Ron Perlman.
Oh.
And then he went from this, and I guess he swore off Hollywood, and then he does Amelie, which is probably his most like well-known work, right?
Amelie's beautiful. Amelie is like, it has these kind of shots, right? Where it's like the fisheye lens, reactionary push-in shots, and kind of like your extreme stylistic shots, right?
Uh-huh.
But dude, the tone and everything is so weird for an alien movie.
He also did this movie I was always interested in called Micmacs, which also had the guy that played Reese in it. Is that guy in Amelie?
I think so. I think he's the love interest in Amelie. I'm pretty sure.
Well, eventually we got to do Amelie. We got to give
I
this guy. We got to give Jean Pierre another shot because
we
right now, yeah, he is in Amelie too. This can't be the only thing we ever do with this guy. Like we have
he
to
plays
do more.
Joseph. Yeah, so he Jean Pierre did a movie, I believe, called Delicatessen,
Yeah, I said that earlier.
and that movie is all kinds of fucked up.
Is it just weird or is it fucked up?
Both. I saw it
Yeah.
in film class, and the guy who plays Reese is in that one too. But I saw it in film class, and it is
Also, a
just
thing I said earlier.
fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, I mean, so Micmacs looks like it was supposed to be really fucking weird too. Um, so maybe this is like the straightest movie he's done. Is
It
this Alien
seems like
Resurrection?
that, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
It's kind of one of those guys who has like this weird stylistic thing, and then like, hey, do this franchise movie, and then like, I mean, how good could it possibly be? Like, I forget her name, but the woman who did Nomadland, then doing Eternals. It's like
Oh, that's a good one. Or I'm thinking like even at some level you get Shane Black to do an Iron Man movie.
but you know what though? Then is it Lee Isaac Chung who did Minari? Just did Twisters. I know it's the director of Minari. And I've heard that's like, and I've heard mixed reviews, but I mean, the first Twister movie probably had mixed reviews too, and I love that. So
Yeah.
it just follows that formula. So where are we at now? Oh, so then she's telling them like, oh, you bred a queen, and she's gonna wipe out the entire company. We already kind of
Yeah.
said that. And then this
Oh, you
new
were telling me about the line about Wayland bought out by Walmart.
yeah. So next, this new ship comes into play, that is docking with them, and it's got this guy named Elgin. It's got someone named Ryder, I think, Ron Perlman. It's got uh, Call, Vreese. Ron Perlman is Johnner. I said that earlier. Christie is maybe who. Oh, Ryder is, I think, Hilliard. Maybe that was her other name. I don't know. She's like the guy that's in love with the captain. So you have watched a movie with Michael Wincott, who plays Elgin, just the other day.
His voice seemed really familiar.
You watched Nope.
Holy fuck! You're right.
So
That is him.
he was also in The Count of Monte Cristo.
Dude,
And
his voice is so epic.
yeah, it's so familiar all the time. Oh, yeah, and he was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He is an epic 90s bad guy. And so seeing him in this playing basically the hero part, the male hero part that always dies in the like middle / beginning of the movie of these,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it happened in the first one. Yeah, like I don't know. It's just funny because you expect him to sort of be a bad guy, and he comes in as this like marauder type who, gun for hire, like brings weird cargo to the government. It turns out to just be bodies, like but alive people.
Right.
Yeah, and then him to be like not a bad guy in the end, like he has sort of not an honorable death, but like almost like a hero's death. It was interesting, and then so they land, and then they're immediately talking about the Perez is like talking about how he wants to have sex with Winona Ryder, and that they want to stay a couple of nights, and then the basketball scene. Oh, there's also the scene where they drop the bodies off at the medvac, but they're not allowed in. But then the basketball scene, which is just, it's so odd. She's just doing this thing where she's keeping the ball away from him. It's almost like a sexual, thing that she's doing with him, the way she's like slowly moving it around him. She apparently practiced basketball 3 weeks to look like that in this scene. And she was insistent on doing the shot behind her back herself. And then apparently, as the story goes, the director's like, you have one more chance. And then she made it on her last chance. And I think you see Ron Perlman like smile because he was so happy that it happened. And then the director was like, I don't know if we can use that because it looks like it was thrown out of the shot anyway and then went in. And she was like, well, that's what you're going to fucking do. Anyway, like, why does it matter? A lot went into this horrible basketball scene.
Yeah. Top 10 worst basketball scenes.
So next we get what is this guy's fucking name? He is Getaman, who you don't find out his name until the other lady screams, Getaman! As
You're
he's
talking about the guy who gets sucked into the hole,
pulled into the hole.
pulled into the
But
hole.
he's fucking with the alien by turning on, I think it's like what, dry ice or something?
Antifreeze.
Okay, yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, you're a fast learner," because she's about to do it again, and she stops.
Hitting
He
the
was like,
glass.
he was
Yeah.
getting sensual with that alien too.
It is weird how they established a relationship, or the relationship that he was having with them. He was like looking at Ripley and the Queen and everything as like, I want to breed with them.
If he could have found a safe way to fuck that alien, he would have fucked that
No,
alien.
he wanted to, right? Because he wanted to. Even at the end, he was like, we're all in her uterus now," or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then there's a scene where, for some reason, Winona Ryder's trying to pick up coffee with boxing gloves. I don't really understand that.
I think this is I think what you just witnessed, David, was the movie trying to put some like lighthearted camaraderie between the characters.
Well, yeah, because at first she broke Ron Perlman's knife and he was like gonna fucking kill her, and now he's like kind of like, you're all right, kid. Um, I don't know. Well, no, he does get mad about the coffee, but not as mad as the knife. I don't. Weird.
She throws the see. That's a very Amelie thing to do for the directors, like throwing the boxing gloves at the camera and they hit the camera, that sort of thing. You know.
I did. I noticed that. I did take note of it. So she takes Perez's keys, does the mouth spray thing to talk to Ripley. She's gonna kill Ripley, but then she realizes the alien's out of her. And then she tells Ripley, "I can make it all stop." And Ripley's like, "Why would I let you do that?" And then she tells her, "I'm gonna kill you." And then the guards all realize something is up. They grab her, take all the crew into this one room, and are basically the one doctor, was it Ren, is like, "I'm gonna just kill all of you," because she's like a terrorist, which she's not. She's just a robot with like a conscience, I guess. And
Call is.
yeah, she has a calling.
No, you said Rin.
No, I said Ren took them all in, and he called her a terrorist.
Oh, so she was called a terrorist because she's there to foil their plans, I guess.
I don't know, man. I don't know what the deal is. She's in an area she
The other
shouldn't
thing
be.
that really doesn't work in this movie is that you get the sense that the aliens who are chasing them down throughout the whole movie, like throughout the bulk of the movie, kind of ignore Winona Ryder, and you're like, oh, I wonder why they're ignoring Winona Ryder. It's because she's not human, right? So there's no breeding with her because they can't, right?
Right.
But Ripley supposedly has instincts of the alien. Like she can notice when something smells different. She notices when the ship rotates different. Her senses are heightened because of this alien DNA. But the fact that Call is a robot goes completely unnoticed to her.
That's every movie, though. They never know it's a robot. That's just like the robots are supposed to be so
But
good that you can't
the
tell.
aliens know. The aliens always know.
I don't know about that. I don't know if they
Okay.
know.
All right. Maybe not. But I thought that's why they didn't mess with her.
Maybe. And I mean, when Ripley's like half alien, you know what I mean? So maybe that's just it's a area in her game that she doesn't have. You know what I mean? A hole. Um, so there's this scene in like the basketball court area where they're gonna kill all these people, and then fucking Christy is like Billy the Kid with guns, just kills everybody, shoots the ceiling, and it bounces from one thing to another, and then shoots the guy in the head. And then they should have killed Ren right there, but they don't because, I don't know, they're idiots. And they also have DeStefano, who every movie that has Raymond Cruz in it. At first, I was like, when is he going to sound like Raymond Cruz in this
Right.
movie? And he does
Yeah.
eventually. In the beginning,
At
he's a
the
little
end.
soft spoken. Yeah. So
Dude, I want him to just take him in the bathtub, put a gun up to his head, like in Training Day.
that's. Oh, I guess he is in that scene, but he's not the main guy in that scene.
Oh, I guess he's not the main guy. Or I mean, he does a similar scene in Breaking Bad, so I guess it doesn't matter.
So it cuts back to the aliens in containment. I always thought there was just one in there, but now there's 3 out of nowhere in
Dude,
that glass area.
I love how the 2 aliens are like, sacrifices need to be made, brother. And the other alien's like, what? No, what?
And I thought that was the queen, but it wasn't.
No, it was. So it's like, okay, so there's 3 of them.
Maybe it's just like an observation deck where like any alien can like make it up into that area.
Like the hamsters, like in their own like tunnel system, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you know about the queen, and then you know about the one alien that guy's jacking off to.
Mhm.
And then you see that there's actually 3 aliens in the containment thing that the guy's jacking off to. So you're like, all right, so there's those 3 aliens and there's the queen.
A 4-way.
And then they bring in all those fertile egg sacs to the bodies that are cryogened so that aliens can come out of each of those bodies, right?
And then there's those eggs somehow end up in that tunnel over there. I guess the aliens were moving them when they weren't killing people. That's why people didn't die that quickly because they're like, "Oh, are we gonna move our eggs into a safe spot?"
You mean when they come up above the water?
Yeah.
I thought they were just I thought those were freshly hatched by the queen or freshly laid by the queen.
She's fucking huge. How did she do? And also, no, because that doesn't make sense. Because when she can just she gives birth to full grown aliens now.
Well, so that doesn't make sense either, right? Because now she gives live births. Like first
Yeah.
it had to be eggs with the face huggers, and the face huggers have
Maybe
to.
we saw the first live birth because that thing looked pretty fucked up. She's still working on it.
Yeah, dude.
I do want to get to that part because it was kind of badass. So they decide to take Ren and Stefano, and they're like, all right, we're gonna go back to our ship. And then you see everyone's evacuating, and I think a couple maybe get away, but one doesn't because an alien gets on there and kills everyone. And then
Dude,
Perez
that
throws it.
guy Perez with the grenade, right?
Do you think an alien was still on there, or did that alien probably slip off?
I think that alien was still on there. I want to say a couple things about Perez. One, hairiest guy I've ever seen in a film.
Mhm.
My God.
He's in Commando actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's the main bad guy.
So that's not just a normal grenade. That's like a self timer grenade or like a.
That apparently the range on that thing is pretty fucking impressive too.
So that's what I wanted to talk about. So he throws the grenade in there, which like amazing shot. Like
He's a bowler.
yeah, he's a bowler. Looks like a bowler. And then he like gives a this is so great. He gives a salute as he pulls the trigger to the grenade. It blows up in space, which then I think they try to do this thing where it's like, well, an explosion can't happen in space because the vacuum of space is so great, but something has to happen. So it's like a small explosion and then it gets like sucked into itself. And then as he's saluting his brave soldiers that he killed, you see the reaction of the lady behind him. You see this giant tail kind of like moving out of focus behind him, and then he looks behind him and he gets just absolutely demolished. I think he gets his head bitten off, right?
It through the little alien goes through his brain.
The little alien head, the tongue, right? The tongue goes through his brain.
Well, it's a little alien head, tongue, yeah, whatever you want to call that thing.
Second jaw.
It's his little head. So next there's this scene where they're escaping and Elgin basically is following a breadcrumbs like guns, you know what I mean? Like the alien has set down guns like, ooh, a gun, like as then walks him into a trap. Is
Right.
what that felt like.
Yeah.
And I think at this point they've lost Vreese for a while and they find him later. Cause there's the scene where the alien like drips acid on his legs. And he's like, what the fuck?
Well, he can't. It was established earlier in the movie that he can't feel anything under, like, past his waist.
Right.
So they asked his dripping on his leg. He doesn't get it, but he just sees it, and then it drips on his ear, and that hurt like fucking hell. But he has this wheelchair, which you're not allowed to bring in any weapons. This is such another great scene too. Is that the whole crew is decked out in weapons, but they pass the security check because Perlman has like this thermos that's like a fucking shotgun, but it looks like a drink thermos. And then Race has a wheelchair, and I don't know how, this is just the worst security ever. But they can't see that multiple pieces on his wheelchair are all parts of guns he can put together.
I think it's, it's kind of a commentary on how people underestimate the handicapped,
I don't think that's what Jean Pierre was going for, but maybe. But he
Have you
blasts.
seen his other works? I don't know.
That's
Delicatessen
true.
might be that too.
That's true. But he blasts that alien, right? And then I forget how he dies.
Reese?
No, the guy who's
El-
following the breadcrumbs.
oh, Elgin, the fucking thing pulls him down and
He
then
pulls it.
stabs through his heart.
He pulls him down, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Through the grate. Yeah.
So, oh, this is funny. So I just saw this. General Perez, in the scene where he sits up in bed, he was originally shirtless. However, test audience burst into laughter upon seeing his extremely hairy chest. Oh, God. That just tied into what you said.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, he dies, and then his love interest comes over. She's pretty upset about it. And then the alien is like going to kill them, but it turns around because it hears something. I didn't even hear it, but the alien heard it. And Ripley fires through and kills it.
No, he moved. He moved.
Oh, that's right. And after this call is like, how did you kill that? And I was like, what do you mean how? It's like with a gun. You saw it. And she's like, it's your own kind. And she's like, oh, it was in my way. I was like, oh, that's what you meant. Like how could you emotionally, kill one of your own people? The design of Call's like
Yeah.
thought process is really weird. She's like, we can't let these aliens go, but then I don't want to save Ripley, even though she's kind of not really an alien. But then I do want to save this guy who's clearly got an alien in his chest. There's a lot of mixed emotions from her, and like she's not making a whole lot of sense.
Well, the fact that she has emotions, right? Like all the movies previously and even post with Michael Fassbender, right? Is that these robots are supposed to be super logical, super like for the cause, for the assignment. And Winona is, maybe it's because she's the only woman AI. I don't know, but she's very emotional. She's very like all over the place with her thought process.
That's a tough look to say something like that,
I I am here to make those tough decisions.
Anyway, so they next find out that they're 3 hours away from heading to Earth, and Ron Perlman has the line of like, "Oh, what a shithole." And then she's like, "We need to blow this ship up." Call says, and they're like, "You're not blowing it up with us on it." Well, obviously. So they're on their way to get to their ship, and then she can blow it up after that. So this is when they go into room 7, and this scene, I think, is kind of really fucked up when you think about it, because obviously there's all these clones, but then there's the one, and you're finally getting the Sigourney nude scene that we all want. No, I'm joking. But they basically cut this alien out of the clone and then just left her there to die. Like they did, like left her there, couldn't even throw her in the trash, couldn't waste a bullet on her, just left her there to die. And then she's like, "Kill me." And I thought maybe an actual bullet to the head might have been nicer than burning her alive with fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Ripley looks at the other clones, the other like deformed fetus clones, and we probably talk about this every time we talk about an alien film, but you went to that museum, right, where the artist for this xenomorphs,
The H.R. Geiger Museum, yeah.
yeah. We don't really explore a lot of different forms of the alien apart from like the xenomorphs and like the facehuggers, but I feel like a lot of these like half Ripley, half alien clones are a good representation of what else you could find at that museum.
Well, I mean, that museum had a lot of weird, like, sexual shit. But mostly focusing, I don't know. I don't remember a whole lot of it. We did tell the program directors of our study abroad to never take people there again. And they were like, the last class we took did not tell us this. And I was like, okay, well, that's something to be concerned about. So yeah, I don't know. It's it's a little fucked up guy. You know what I mean? The guy's interested in a lot of like. I mean, there was some like alien head dildos. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Have you seen the popcorn bucket, the alien head popcorn bucket for Romulus? The back half of it looks just like a fucking dildo.
Oh no, I haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
it just looks like a penis. So, I love Ron Perlman.
You could put that popcorn bucket inside the open mouth of Wolverine popcorn bucket.
Oh, it'll fit. So, and then Ron Perlman at the end is like, "What's the deal? That's just such a waste of ammo. That must be a chick thing." Then they go to the room where they brought in those bodies, and they like let the aliens eat inside their chest, and they're like, they get to the one guy, and he's like, we thought we were on a work crew going to a refinery. And this is where they have the argument, and Call's like, "Oh, I want to save him." And everyone else is like, "Are you fucking insane? Like, why?" But she wins somehow because we make stupid decisions. And they're like, "We're going to take him and we'll freeze him. And then maybe they'll be able to save him." And then we get the swimming scene where they got to swim 90 feet.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was like, can you swim 90 feet comfortably?
I think you can, but then at the end of that, so normal people swimming 90 feet, right? I mean, I think you obviously can, but then not being able to get through at the end of that is like, maybe that's the tough part.
In one breath, I think. How long can you dive? Yeah, I don't know. I looked it up and it's like, can you dive at 90 feet? I'm like, no. Just swimming underwater for as period of time as one can hold their breath for 90 feet. But yeah, they had a bunch of guns and ammo attached to them, and then fucking Christy had fucking Reese attached to him.
Yeah, Christy, kind of a badass of all. You think Ron Perlman's going to be the badass, but honestly, Christy kind of really fucking brought it. You know what I mean?
Well, both of them, right? Because Ron Perlman is the one that hung upside down on the ladder to shoot the alien.
Apparently, like, really fucked up the back of his knees doing that. So yeah, they start swimming, and then Elgin's girl gets killed. As soon as one half of a couple gets killed in the movie, the secondary character that's also not important, also very clearly gonna be killed.
Yeah.
She gets killed. The way the xenomorphs swim is really cool. They make it up, and then Ren backstabs them, shoots Call.
Surprise.
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 So anyway, she falls, and then fucking Christy, because he got acid on his face, is like, "I'm just gonna sacrifice myself because this alien's wrapped around my foot." And it's like, I feel like there's another way.
You could have just kicked it off.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it felt like it was just hanging on the edge. But he's just like, if he had just bent his foot down, it would have fallen. But he's just like, "Nah, murder. I'm gonna kill myself right now." And then they get up, and the door starts to open, and it's Call, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?"
You forgot to mention that Ren turns on them by killing and shooting Call.
No, I said that.
Oh, well, Call falls down, and then Call gets back up.
She does. And at that point, you're like, "What the fuck is going on here? Like, how did that happen?"
Did you see that coming when they killed Winona Ryder? Because I mean, Winona Ryder's probably the biggest name in this movie.
No, I knew she was going to come back. She like wanted to do this movie so bad. She was like, "You can kill me off whenever." So, but yeah, obviously, she's going to come back. But it was a little bit of like, all right, well, how did that happen? Also, how did she get around?
Back down, up, and around? Yeah, I don't know.
And so quickly, and it's like, well, why didn't you guys go that way in the first place? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing there?
I don't have an answer for you.
So then...
Oh, she's a robot. She can hold her breath. Maybe there was like a longer, faster thing, but since you can't hold your breath that long, she's the only one who could have taken it.
That makes sense. And she's like, before that, she didn't want to tell them she was a robot. She was trying to keep it hidden. But now she's like, all right, well, they're going to know. That's possible. So they're like, oh, well, now that you're a robot, we could, have you just plug into the mainframe. She's like, oh, it's down. And then Reese is like, well, you can do it manually. And she's like, I don't want to do that. It feels weird. She's like, get the fuck in there right now.
So there's this like computer AI program that's running this whole facility called Father.
Yeah.
And
Was it mother in the first one, or has it always been father?
it was mother. It was mother.
Okay.
And now it's father. And when Winona Ryder plugs in and she senses Rin getting to the Betty, she locks down the Betty, and he goes, "Father, open up." And she goes, "Father's dead, bitch."
Yeah. And then Winona's like, that was pretty mean of you, or you have
Oh,
a mean
Ellen.
streak.
Ellen was, yeah.
So yeah, he tries to get out, and then they won't let her. And then they're heading that way, and Ron Perlman's like, "We have plenty of time before we get to Earth," and she's like, "Oh, not really." And I thought they were going to a different planet, but they apparently still go to Earth. She just like sped up the process.
No, so what they did is that the ship was supposed to like dock at the bay, but instead they made it crash into Africa.
Fucking rude. No, but it was supposed to dock in a specific point. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, and
on
she's
Earth.
like on Earth, and she was like, "Okay, look, if we can get out with the Betty, just crash this fucking thing into land so that whatever's left over in here dies."
Yeah. So then he's like, "Oh, well, we have 3 hours," and they're all like, "Not really." And he's like,
No,
"What the
because
fuck?"
we're crashing this. Yeah,
And she's like, "What the fuck?" And then Ripley like grabs him by the mouth and was like, "Do you want another tongue?" And
souvenir.
I guess she could have just done this the whole time, but she was like, I don't know. She slow plays her strength a little bit to where they don't all, you know, they don't all know about it. So then they keep running, but she falls through into the queen, and it's like the queen is like hugging her, or is the queen doing more than that? Maybe like the queen does something right then that then allows her to give birth to live babies.
No, the queen was extracted from her. And how
Yeah.
I see this is that if her DNA got melded with the queen because of the cloning process, then the queen got melded with her DNA, and that's why she was given life birth. I didn't think that was the queen. I thought that was like 1,000 aliens all huddled in one. Like, do you know like when rats get into those like really giant huddles?
Okay.
I think they're called king rats when they get into this giant like huddle. I think that's what they were doing.
Yeah, it looked like she was hugging her almost. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of that's what it felt like. So they are like, "All right, well, we gotta head out." So they get on the ship. Ren's there. He shoots Call, or no, he shoots the Purvis guy and is holding Call hostage. And then Purvis attacks him.
Oh, it's called a rat king. Is a collection of rats or mice whose tails are intertwined and bound together, and they live like that for so much that they actually get fused together. And I thought that's what was happening with aliens.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's this shot where Purvis has this camera go down his throat.
It's pretty great.
So apparently they actually did that, but they just reversed it. So they put the camera slowly down his throat and then like ripped it out like he was a Beyblade.
Jesus.
No, they did pull it out. I don't know how fast they ripped it out. And then he fucking has an alien head go through his body and the science, like he controlled it for good.
Yeah, that was weird. He uses it to kill Rin.
Yeah. And then they shoot the alien dead and then they're leaving. But Sigourney escapes the queen because this is kind of cool. The queen gives birth and she's like, "Oh, my baby." And then the baby turns around, who's like a fucking albino alien, like half human, half alien, and just fucking whacks and breaks the queen's face off.
Yeah.
Because she's like, "You're not my mommy, bitch."
And then
she goes
the
over
the guy who's alive who wants to like fuck all these aliens is like, "No, don't do it."
and then he's like, "Oh, Sigourney, you're the mama." And then she escapes, jumps on the ship. But as you said earlier, like to me when we were talking, obviously that alien makes it on that ship, which is like every fucking time.
Well, it's always like the trope where it's like, "Hey, the cargo bay didn't close all the way. Can one of you go back there to make sure it closes?" And it's
But
like,
I mean, it's 1 and 2. This happens in 1 and 2.
and 4.
This is 4.
I
So
know.
yeah.
Does it happen in 3?
No, I don't think so. It
No.
ends with her burning herself alive.
That's right. Although, man, I honestly don't have an although that I can actually remember
You're
from 3.
stumped?
I wonder if Prometheus has one like that too. Pretty sure Covenant does. Hey, sorry, we've both seen Prometheus, but I don't think either of us have seen Covenant.
I haven't seen Covenant, no. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I think we kind of need to break the rule and just do Prometheus at some point. Like, let's just do them in order.
We could do a Prometheus Covenant thing.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Be a long episode. I think it should just be its own, honestly. So she escapes the queen, jumps to the ship. The queen makes it, kills DeStefano, unfortunately. And then I was like, you know what? This didn't end too bad. And then it actually ends. And Ripley uses some acid from the alien to throw it at the window.
No, her own blood.
Okay, don't care. And the alien gets sucked with such force that it sucks the alien, but not enough to break the window anymore. And then slowly sucks the alien's innards out, and then the rest of it, and its skin, and then its skull. I don't know about the science on that. That seems pretty fucking crazy.
Did you kind of feel bad for it?
Well, it started speaking English.
It did?
Yeah, well, if you have your subtitles on, you would really see it, but it goes, oh no!
Did your subtitles say, oh no?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was just waiting for it to go, Mother, why?
Mother, why?
I thought you were going to tell me that there was a longer extended cut of this alien, like...
Well, maybe they cut out in the theatrical version it talking, because that was like, I was like, come on, man.
Oh no. Oh no.
And then you see the huge explosion in, I guess, Africa is what you said. And then they land, and she's like, all right, well, the army's going to be here soon. What should we do? And then Ripley's like, I don't know. I've never been here before. And then the movie ends.
Oh,
That's
they don't
it.
land in mine. They don't land in mine. They just kind of are hovering above Earth, and they look at the sunset. And Winona is like, oh, we're strangers here. And she says, I'm a stranger here myself.
If you can guess the city they land in one guess, you can pick the movies for the rest of the year. One guess. You have 10 seconds.
Paris.
What the fuck?
Really? No way. You're lying. You're lying.
It's Paris.
No way. I get to pick the movies. Yes. No fucking way. Are you kidding me?
Well, there's an Eiffel Tower. Maybe it was Vegas, but I'm pretty sure it's Paris. All right, guys. If the movies suck for the rest of the year, you know why.
That's so fucking funny. So they land in your version, huh?
Yeah.
But they, but they, but they still deliver. Shut up. But they still deliver the line, "I'm a stranger here myself."
Yeah, that happened.
Oh,
That was said in the ship in your version?
yeah. I mean, they were just like looking at the sunset, and it was a 2-shot of Winona and her, and she says it, and then the movie ends.
Unbelievable. So, a little bit of fun facts of this one. Originally, the character of Dr. Wren was going to be Bill Murray, which
Okay.
I don't think that works.
Of
I don't think
Caddyshack?
I was going to try and do a really bad impression. Apparently James Cameron shit on this movie, which is just James Cameron shits on anything that isn't done by James Cameron. So,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
kind of his fucking thing.
Although he might have a point this time.
I guess. I don't know. He shit on Alien a little bit too. You know what I mean? So when it was the whole like, oh, they overly sexualized Sigourney when it was like Sigourney's idea. You know what I mean? So
What's funny is there's a lot of a lot of discussion on Twitter right now because of the new Alien Romulus movie that's come out, right? And people just like Alien better than Aliens, and I don't agree with that.
I don't know. They're pretty close to me. They're different. I think I might slightly prefer Alien, but I don't know.
Thematically, I think Aliens hits it more like on the head. How did you feel like this movie wrapped up? Because I think this movie was supposed to just kind of wrap up this whole thing being like, okay, so in the second one, she basically becomes the mother to Newt, and then the queen is the mother to all the other aliens. So there's a lot of like mother daughter relationship in that movie, right? And then it's all kind of just blown out for nothing in three. But then they kind of try to come back to it in this movie where it's like she's the mother of the alien and then she kills it for the better of mankind. Or am I looking way too much into this?
I just think they didn't have like a cohesive voice for 4 movies because it's a different, every single movie's a different director, different writer, same producers, I think. But yeah, I mean, you need like the story. You set this Newt character up in 2, and then kill her off in 3. In 3, you kind of feel like that's the end because Ripley sacrifices herself to kill the alien, right, once and for all. And then they're like, oh no, we're cloning her, and the way we're cloning her is also going to have the alien in her belly too. So I don't know. Just yeah, I think you needed a more consistency, right? Like, and even Prometheus is more like a science fiction movie, whereas I've heard Alien Covenant's kind of a horror movie, which is, I guess, more in line with Alien.
Yeah.
And then Romulus, I haven't seen. I think it seems like it's going to be kind of horror-ish.
So a lot of people say that it takes after the first one a lot, but it is more of a horror movie in and of itself.
But I think it's PG-13, right? So it's
Is
like,
it? No way.
I think so. Well, while you're looking that up, so these are the people that they asked to direct this movie before they got to Jean-Pierre.
It's R.
Okay. Peter Jackson, Danny Boyle, after the success of Train Spotting, Bryan Singer, which thank God, and then our boy from Event Horizon, Paul W.S. Anderson. But he did Event Horizon this year, so I don't know how he would have made that happen. And then Angelina Jolie turned down the role of Call, which would have been interesting.
That would have been interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. So it looks like every alien movie is rated R.
So I think we'll wrap this up. It's not a good movie. Joss Whedon likes to blame that on the director, but I mean, the story's kind of shit, right? It's the same story in every alien movie. It's like, hey, we're trapped and we got to escape. At least the first 3, or the 1, 2, and 4. I mean, 3 is actually like kind of these first 4. It's the only story that's like a little bit different.
That's true.
I guess 2 is slightly different to 1 and 4 as well, but yeah, I mean, it's just not. It's the worst one.
Well, what's interesting about this one is that this is the last movie in the timeline.
Yeah, everything else has been before that, right? Is Prometheus the first?
I'm glad you asked. So there is
yeah, I get it. Just read the order. You don't need to explain what it is. Just read the order.
There's a show that's apparently coming out called Alien Earth.
Yeah, I saw that.
That one takes place in 2092, which is before everything. That's supposedly chronologically the first one. Then Prometheus takes place in 2093. Alien Covenant takes place in 2104. Alien takes place in 2122.
Okay.
Alien Romulus takes place in 2142. So Alien Romulus takes place between Alien and Aliens.
That's always kind of a
crapshoot, a risk.
It's your best 2, right? And you're putting something in between. But I mean, it worked out for Rogue One, putting that right there.
I guess. So Aliens is 2179. Alien 3 happened in the same year, I guess, because that was like right after they found her. And then Alien Resurrection happens 200 years later at 2381. And they haven't made one that happens past 2381.
Yeah, I'm glad we got all that. So, yeah, it's not very good. Would you, if you're going to do like, years down the line, you're like, oh, I'm going to do an Alien movie rewatch. Would you just skip this one?
Yes.
Would you skip 3?
That's a tough one. Would I skip
You know,
3?
it's
I
kind
don't
of
know.
this is like such a hit or miss franchise too, and it's kind of so it's held up in such high regard, and that only is because of 1 and 2. Like 3 has its points, but like, it's kind of a weird movie.
Yeah, but man, I mean, this movie feels so rushed and so displaced. Like it's like, you know what it feels like? Is when we watched Deep Blue Sea, there was like movies you should watch after this one, right? And the streaming service suggesting like Deep Blue Sea 2 and Deep Blue Sea 3.
Yeah.
And you're like, you watch the trailer and it's just like not the tone or like the same characters or anything. It's just sharing the name Deep Blue Sea. This movie feels like it's just sharing the name of the Alien franchise, but it doesn't really have much to do with the Alien franchise.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing too. It's like such a cash grab. It kind of, studios do this all the time where it was like a plot point in Entourage, right? Because the Vinny Chase, he's in
I've never seen
Aquaman.
Entourage.
I know. I'm going to explain it well enough for you to get it. And he's in Aquaman, which is like written and directed by James Cameron in that universe. And then they're like, all right, we're ready to do Aquaman 2. And he's like, oh, Cameron signed on. He's like, nope, we're getting Kevin Smith to write it. And he's like, you're just going to put some fucking dog shit movie out, like just to make a quick buck? And like, obviously, besides the Kevin Smith slander, like studios do this all the time where it's just like, they're like, all right, we have this name of this really good movie we made. It's
Well,
like,
it's usually to keep the rights of it, right?
okay, no, yeah, I'm not done talking.
Okay.
But they just put out, like, instead of just putting out another good version, right, getting good people to do it, they're like, we'll just put out a cheap, shitty version. And it's like, but you could just keep making good stuff, like, because like as soon as you start doing the shitty versions, you make less money. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of I Finally Watched. This is David.
And this is Alon, and we finally watched, regrettably, Alien Resurrection.